Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've muted everybody, and whenever there's open up for questions and answers, you can also put your questions in the chat, and I can go through the questions as they come up in the chat and then answer them directly. And then toward the end, we will I'll unmute everyone, and then we can take questions there if I don't answer some of the questions that may come up. So first off, welcome everyone. Let me see if I can. I just want to, I'm having a series of these meetings. I'm glad you all were able to show up today. It looks like we have 33 participants right now, and which is good. I'm going to hold another one this afternoon at noon at 12 o'clock. The content will be the same. And I'm going to hold another one today at 5:30 p.m. Should anyone, if in case there's folks who can't make the 9 a.m., the 12 o'clock, then folks can come in and log on after the day at 5:30 today. Okay. So please bear with me as I navigate this so that I can, as people start joining the meeting, I'm having to be sharp so that I can admit them into the meeting. So at any rate, let me see if I can share my screen with you. So the purpose for today's meeting is purely informational. I know it's a crazy time, and I say crazy and as positively as I can. Again, these are just opportunities that fate throws at us a little bit that make us ultimately better at the end of the day. So right now, working together, we'll do the best that we can. So let me just share out some information. Yesterday, I sent out an email with it's titled "Information Regarding the 2021 School Year." So I'm going to share that letter on the screen and go over some high points of that, and then give you some directions. Before moving on, it's very important that we update our email and our contact information moving forward. I send out an email pretty much on a daily basis. It's got a quote of the day, but in that email, it'll have information that'll allow you to keep you in the loop with what's going on a daily basis. So if you make sure you have your emails updated, we should be good to go. Okay, so let me see if I can share my screen here. Okay, there it is. So this is a letter that I sent out to all parents yesterday. And again, I'm not going to read the letter to you, but I just want to kind of go over some high points. If you can see it on your screen, I've highlighted some main points of it, and I'm going to go through this not in light speed, but just kind of highlight some points that just we need to be aware of. So we are starting the school year on a distance learning model, simply because those are the mandates that we have from the state of California as well as from the county health department. So, what does that mean for our students? It means that our students are going to work safely from home. We are in the process of integrating a new learning management system called Canvas. Some of your students may have already taken courses at IVC through dual or concurrent enrollment. So they're a little bit familiar with Canvas. IVC uses the same platform. So it's pretty practical for us in order to be able to transition. The integration of Canvas with Synergy has been the most tedious component of it, but we're working on that, and we're hoping to have everything transitioned during, if not by the first week of school, during the first couple of weeks of school. So this will allow or minimize all of the platforms that we were using to close out the school. I mean, some of the feedback that we got from parents and students was that there were so many different platforms. So Canvas will allow everything to be under one umbrella. So we're working on that daily with Canvas and with our district office to make sure that we're getting that implemented. The online opportunities, it will be mandated or expected. When school closed off at the end of the year last year, or when we went to the closure, we had to, it was crisis learning. So it was a very interesting time. But now we are, it's school is in regular session, if you will. And all of the expectations for students and teachers and everyone are back on point, including attendance and participation and grading and all that stuff. So there's more as we move forward. We'll be providing some webinars that are specific to grading, specific to different components of what we're doing. There won't be any assignments, of course, aside from those that the teachers deem as optional, but students will be expected to participate and engage with everything that we're doing. Now, we have worked out a schedule to help facilitate that. So our schedule, our students will participate in school Monday through Friday, as you see right here, Monday through Friday, and each student will interact with their teachers and peers daily. That's mandated by the education code. Mondays are going to be designated for students to complete assignments, communicate with teachers. We want to be very clear that Monday is a school day. So the way the schedule, students will have an advisory period that will go from 8:30 in the morning to 9 o'clock. So that's when the school day starts. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it'll be first through third period. And on Wednesdays and Fridays, it'll be periods 4, 5, and 6. Now, the rationale for that is to make sure that students and teachers have an opportunity to engage in the assignments that are happening, that are being provided by their teachers. So 60 minutes, the learning block that goes from 9 to 10 on Tuesdays for first period doesn't necessarily mean that your child is going to be on a Zoom call for an hour and for every period that day. What that means is that the teacher and the students, that's the designated time for teachers to provide instruction. Your teachers may ask your first period classes to Zoom in at 9 o'clock, and that Zoom call may go 15, 20 minutes long, and then the students will be asked to work asynchronously, meaning independently, and complete those exercises. And then at 10 o'clock, when the second period learning block comes on, they may or may not have to Zoom in. They may just work independently on the previous assignment that was provided. And then when the third period learning block comes on at 11, same thing. The teacher may have students Zoom in. It may be through a chat. It may be a variety of things. Then lunch is from 12 to 1, and then from 1 to 3:25, which is would be our regular school day, the student then has the opportunity to work independently on completing any of the assignments that weren't completed during that first window or during that learning block. So what we're trying to do, and also I'm focusing on the student. The student will be able to complete those assignments during that time in the afternoon. Now, the teacher will also be doing outreach during that time. If there's a student who's not particularly engaged in the learning, that would be the time for the teacher to reach out. The teacher will have office hours during that time. If the teacher identifies students who are struggling, they'll be reaching out via phone call, via email, whatever platform, to make sure that that student is engaged in getting what they need to do. Teachers will also be available during that time for assistance and questions, if you will. So just imagine the day, it's a school day. It goes from 8:30 to 3:25. From 8:30 to 9 is an advisory period where our students will be asked to log in every day for the state of California, or the education code, is mandating that we have daily live interaction with certificated employees and peers for purposes of instruction, progress monitoring, or maintaining school connectedness. So how that's gonna go, we're hoping that we can get that done through the advisory period. And then, for example, on Mondays, I want to emphasize that is a school day. We will ask students to check in during advisory, but that time will be used for teacher outreach, for intervention, for office hours, and it's a time for students to get caught up, get ahead, and also plan for the activities that are coming up that week. On Mondays, some teachers may call in a group of students from different classes who may be experiencing some of the same issues and provide a little bit of intervention on Monday. So once again, school goes from Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 3:25. The only difference is on Mondays is an independent work day for outreach and communication. Tuesday through Friday, we're splitting the periods into what we're calling learning blocks, and we're embedding time during the schedule for students to make sure that they're getting caught up and or getting ahead or reaching out for questions. So once again, I want to emphasize that the learning block is 60 minutes. First period goes from 9 to 10. That doesn't necessarily mean that your student is going to be on a Zoom call like ours for 60 minutes. As a matter of fact, we're actually discouraging Zoom calls or that kind of instruction, and we want to limit it to 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops. A lot of the time will be spent with the independent component through getting the activities done. And then teachers will be using those activities to make sure that students are staying engaged and that students are participating. And we're using those activities to make sure that you're understanding the concepts that are being taught in your subjects. And with each day we have embedded time for the student to work asynchronously, meaning independently. We don't want students spending 8, 9, 10, 12 hours on the screen. That's not what we want. We saw a lot of that in the closure when we first went in, and we want to avoid those things. You know, it was an interesting time. We just want to make sure that we continue to improve. And after we get off this call, doesn't mean that we're right there. We're going to continue to work together to continue to improve. So I've gone over that. Let's see.
What do you mean process?
We want to make sure that the day ends at 3:25. I really want to emphasize the way parents can help us, and is we have to do the instructional component. But check in with your kids at the end of the day. What are some of the activities that you're doing? How are you teaching them? Are you needing some support so that we can contact your teachers or your counselors or your administrative team? It's really important to have an opportunity at night to talk to your kids, to check with them, and you don't have anywhere else to go, you know. So keep a close tab on them, and ask them what's going on. Also, I don't want our teachers on 24/7. So, you know, the 1 to 3:25 time, the Monday times, you know, all of our teachers are going to work additional hours. That's just the way they are. And that's a good thing because they're very passionate about their students and about what they do. But I want to make sure that our teachers, they have children too, and they have parents, and they have homes, and it's important for everyone to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves physically, mentally, and emotionally, because this situation, if we're not careful, can be very daunting and very consuming. We could have students working 24/7, teachers working 24/7, and by the end of the first 6 weeks, everyone's going to be burnt out. So we want to make sure that we are focusing on our students' mental health academic health, social emotional health, as well as our personnel, our staff too. So, you know, I don't know what things are at home, but you know, having lunch at home together is good. I have a son who's going to be a ninth grader here at high school, starting ninth. So I've pretty much told him, I said, look, come August 17th, I'm gonna wake you up at, you know, normally I usually get those guys up at 6 o'clock, 6:15. I fix them breakfast and I bring them to school, but now I'll be leaving them at home, and they will engage with their advisory and move forward. Now, after 5 o'clock, I'm telling him that's going to be a little bit of downtime for you, because you have time embedded in your school day to get ahead or get caught up with each of your learning activities that your teachers are providing for you. So I also want to mention that to keep your eye out for emails, as I'll be sending emails daily. I will be having another Zoom meeting like this one today at 12 o'clock, and I'll be sending that out. And I'll be having another one today at 5:30, and I'll be sending that one out today as well. I don't send them all out at one time because I don't want to confuse anyone, especially myself. So as soon as we get off this call, I have another call at 10 on something else, but I will send out the Zoom invitation. If you've already attended this one, you don't need to attend the one at noon or the one at 5:30. If you get another question that comes up, you can fire an email off to me, and we can answer that question. All of you have my cell phone number for the most part. I've been getting text messages and emails and whatnot, and doing the best that I can to respond in as much real time as possible. Also, a couple things. Next week, we will have, if your child does not have a device, okay, and I want to emphasize this, if he or she does not have a device, a computer or a Chromebook, they can come by next week to check one out. Okay, we'll be distributing those next week to students and their families who don't have access to them. My kids, for example, we have 2 computers at home and a laptop, so I won't be checking out any devices for my children. If I only had one, then yeah, my kid would need one. So again, I just ask that if you have a device at home available, then go ahead, and you don't need to check one out. But if your computer is used by multiple children, if you will, if you have 2 kids at the high school, by all means, but you only need to check out one device, that's fine. We want to make sure that you have a device, either one that you have at home or one that you are going to check out from us. And we have a form for you to sign, and then take the device with you. It comes with a charger, so you'll be good to go with that. Some of our teachers will be using textbooks, okay? But more information will be coming as we start the year, to schedule time at our library and practice social distancing and whatnot, so and safety, to come get textbooks. I want to emphasize, we're not in a hurry, okay? It's not a race. So all of the stuff that we will have coming, we'll get it done. I also want to emphasize, what about the coursework? What about the content? What about the reading, writing, arithmetic? It's okay. It's about time we slowed it down a little bit and really focused on a deeper understanding. So we're going to be fine. The first 2 to 3 weeks, we have to really work in making sure everybody's up and running, making sure the kids are understanding the routines and procedures for each of their classes, and getting into the rhythm of things. We're not in crisis teaching like we started back in March. This is how we're going to move forward for the immediate future. So it's a little bit of a change in paradigm. So it's not a race. I want to emphasize that. So let's all be cool. It's going to be cool. We're going to get through it, and we're going to come out even better than we did before. So keep an eye out for emails. If your email's not updated or your contact information is not updated, please make sure that you update that. Senior pictures, if you have a child who's a senior, we're looking at having senior portraits happening sometime probably in September. I've already spoken to Life Touch. There's some work that we're doing to make sure that we're using an area that has plenty of space and limited in people who are coming in and out. When you come over to the office, please, we're only asking, registrar's office, we're only asking 3 people in there at a time. I know some of you have children and whatnot. If you can leave them with a babysitter, then that's fine. If not, whether they can wait in the lobby, but we really got to make sure that we are practicing social distancing. I know it's an inconvenience, but again, we'll just keep moving forward with that.
Mr. Apodaca, there are a few questions on the chat about registration, how it's going to work, and if the schedule has to be again in person.
Okay. Say it again, Dr. Kozani.
It's about the how registration is going to work this year and how students are going to get their schedules.
Okay, very, very good. Thank you, Dr. Kozani. Okay, registration is all going to be done online. Okay, so at this stage, I sent an email the other day with steps to do that. And if you've already enrolled in school, all you need to do is go into your parent view, go to my account, scroll down to the acknowledgements, and it'll say 2020, 2021. If it's yes, and the acknowledgements have already happened, then you're good to go. Okay. As far as your schedules are going to be available via Parent View next week. I'm hoping Monday, but no later than Tuesday morning. So we're not going to ask you to come by. We're trying to minimize anyone coming coming onto campus for anything unless it's absolutely necessary. So your schedules will be available on Monday or by the end of day on Monday, no later than Tuesday morning via Parent View. So you'll be able to see those. Registration, like I said, is all online. So some folks have emailed and says, hey, you know what? I've done all the steps, but I'm still not. So what we do is you can send an email to our registrar, Mrs. Cardenas, or to myself or to a member of our administrative team, and I'll get the schedule or the email, and I forward it to Ms. Cardenas, and usually it's taken care of. There's a pretty quick response to the questions. So I hope that answers the question. All online. And if there's more questions, then you can reach out via email or text message, and we'll get you going. But questions regarding registration, like I said, all online. Schedules will be available on Parent View. You'll be able to see those schedules on Monday, but no later than Tuesday. So start checking on Monday. And if you don't see them on Monday, you should see them by Monday afternoon or definitely Tuesday morning. Let's see, what else do we have? Yes, in the chat right there is my email address as well as Mrs. Cardenas' email address.
Are counselors going to be available to speak with parents now, or when they are going to be available?
Right now, counselors are swamped with cleaning up the master schedule so that we can have the schedules available on Monday, Tuesday at the latest. I'm saying Monday because that's when I'm thinking they're going to be available, but I'm also saying Tuesday because I want to give myself a little bit of a window. If you have a question for your counselor, I would fire off an email to the counselor and copy myself or Mr. Rubio or Mrs. Den. I just on that note, Mr. Rubio is one of our assistant principals. He's been with us for a year, and Mrs. Den, Jessica Den, will be replacing the position that Mrs. Iniguez vacated. Mrs. Iniguez is now principal at Frank Wright, so Mrs. Jessica Den will be replacing that. She will be serving as our second assistant principal. So welcome her aboard. I know it's kind of an interesting time to start, but it's actually pretty exciting because this has never been done before. So, you know, we're really great opportunity, you know, as frustrating as it may be sometimes. Okay, I'm looking on the chat, as far as textbooks, we're looking to make sure our teachers can get acclimated, and during the first couple of weeks of school, we will make arrangements with our library and our librarian to make sure that we have time for them to get their textbooks. I want to emphasize, like, okay, let's just keep it in our mind that, okay, flexibility and slow playing it. Okay, so if we can get textbooks out sooner than the first day, then we will. But if not, it'll happen in the first couple of weeks of school. When classes start under normal or traditional circumstances, textbooks don't happen until during the first or second week of school. The kids go to the library, they get their books, they come back, they cover them and do whatever they do with them. So it's going to be very similar in that component, but maybe a little bit longer, simply because of the numbers we have to work with. There was another question I saw right now on the chat. Let me see. Yes, ninth graders will be receiving their schedules. So when you log on to Parent View on Monday, no later than Tuesday, you'll have access to see your student schedules. I also want to emphasize, schedule changes under these circumstances will only be done if, like, for example, if your child is missing a math class or something they need to graduate. We want to avoid, we don't do, and I'm sure that you've heard this before, we do not do teacher changes, if you will. We avoid doing that. And usually those will have to be approved by me. But right now, if your child is missing a class, if there's something wrong, then yeah, we'll accommodate a change to make sure that your child has what he needs. If your child enrolled in, say, an AP class, and after the first couple of meetings or days, they're like, you know what, I'm gonna go a different route, then we can look at moving an AP to a regular class, if you're things of that nature. But if it's like, oh, you know what, I had Mr. Apodaca for English and I heard he's really tough and I don't like his mustache, so we won't be able to accommodate that kind of a change. So again, when you get your schedules, when you see your schedules next week, please look to make sure that your kids have everything that they have to graduate. Especially if you're a senior, you don't want to end up with a course with missing classes that you need to meet your graduation requirements and whatnot. So yes, freshmen will see that. Let's see. Are teachers going to be doing Zoom meetings daily for each class? No. Yes and no. It depends on the teacher. So for example, if I'm an English teacher, my first period class, first, second, and third on Tuesdays, you know what? Maybe at the beginning, I will be having a Zoom because I want to get to know my kids. I want to see them. We're going to be sharing out some more information as well and having another presentation that where we go over some Zoom norms for our kids. We'll want to see their faces. We want the cameras on. We'll have them muted like we have this, and different capabilities and expectations that we're going to ask our kids to do to etiquette, if you will, during a Zoom call. But some of our teachers will be doing that every day, especially at the beginning, because we want to get to know your kids. We want to see them. We want to understand them a little bit. But the Zoom calls should not be longer than 15 to 30 minutes tops. I mean, we're not going to keep kids on a Zoom call for an hour. The idea, all the research with distance learning says the screen time needs to be minimal, and the asynchronous time, meaning the independent time where students get to work on the activities, would spend a little bit more time with that, and then we would just provide intervention as kids need it for each teacher. So you might have a day where your first period teacher has a Zoom for 15, 20 minutes, and then they're off, and then they get to work on whatever exercise they assign. So then second period may not have a Zoom call because they had a Zoom the previous meeting, and they're supposed to work on that project or assignment during that Zoom call. But the state is requiring us to have daily live interaction with your students and with your peers. So during the day, it's very likely that one of your teachers will have a Zoom call. So if there's a Zoom call like what we're doing right now, this would be considered daily live interaction. Also, our teachers, if your child's not engaged, they'll be reaching out via telephone call. We're really encouraging telephone calls because it's important that we hear each other's voice, especially during this time where most of us are isolated. So that's how the Zoom calls will work. And again, Some teachers will use online free textbooks. Yes, that's correct. Some of them will not use an actual textbook. Chromebooks will be available next week. Good. 60-minute class period split into different activities. Front office, if you're done by the front office for your Chromebook. ID cards, that's a good question. I'm working with LifeTouch to set up a time where students can come in to take their ID pictures. The problem is that we can't have a bunch of people at one time, so I need to iron that out. With the senior portraits, it's going to work because we'll probably use the gym because there aren't any athletics going on right now. So we'll probably bring in no more than 3 or 4 people at a time in 4 corners of the gym and only the LifeTouch crew in there. And that should be fine. With ID pictures, it'll probably be very similar, but we'll need to have a LifeTouch rep here in town for about a week so that we can get all of our kids with the ID pictures. The codes for the Zoom meetings, your teachers will, the teacher who sets up the Zoom meeting will be sending out those codes. We're gonna get schedules. Our teachers have their rosters, but we're not sending any outreach right now because there's still a lot of movement happening with cleaning up the schedules. So next week, your teachers will have access to their rosters, so they should be sending out information via email to their students, letting them know of the if we're going to be Zooming or how we're going to be doing that. Also, on the first day of school, which is Monday, we're going to be holding some webinars for each class. So it'll be one specifically for freshmen parents, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And they'll be about 30 to 45 minutes long. It'll be like a welcome back that myself, administrative team will be on there and just providing some back to school type of information. You very well may get on that first day Zoom calls from your advisory teachers just to kind of, hey, what's going on? And today, let them know we have the webinar scheduled for these times. And then tomorrow on Tuesday, it'll just be first, second, and third period. Again, once you get your child's schedule, you can start communicating with teachers. Just, hey, listen, I'm Joe Apodaca. My son Jose will be in your class. Let me know if there's any concerns. Thank you very much. We look forward to an interesting year. And then our teachers, once they have their rosters, they'll be able to send out a mass email to all their students and their parents as well. Kids, go ahead. Sorry, Dr. Rosani, you're breaking up a little bit.
There is a question if there will be tutoring available.
Dude, that's a good question. And the thing is I want to say, yes, there will, because each of our teachers has the Monday from 8 to 3:25 for outreach, and that's office hours. There could be individual assistants during that time. And also on every day, Tuesday through Friday, from 1 to 3:25 is also time for outreach and office hours. So there could be some additional assistance there. We realize that some kids are going to need the additional tutoring or additional assistance. And there may be times where a teacher will identify, say, 2 or 3 kids in each class and say, hey, listen, guys, well, let's Zoom in on Monday at 9 o'clock so I can run over this lesson with you real quick and answer any of your questions. Or sometimes a teacher may say, hey, listen, here's the Zoom link for Friday or for Monday or whatever day in the afternoon. If you have questions, tap in and I'll make myself available. You might get 10 kids, you might get 30, because our district is working on acquiring a license through Zoom. Like this kind of meeting right now, there's 36 people in here, but if I had 100, I can't have more than 100. So we're working on getting a license that will allow for more than 100 people to come in on one particular Zoom meeting. So we should hopefully have that going sooner than later as our district moves forward with that.
There is another question on how do the students check in for school every day?
That's a good question, because what we'll be doing is every day during advisory time, the advisory teacher will be checking in with the students, because that's the way that we can ensure that we're being compliant with the daily live interaction. So every teacher has an advisory. You know it as the old reading period. Okay. So your first period teacher, your advisory teacher will communicate with kids each day. They may say, okay, at 8:30, I want half of the students to log in, to Zoom in. Hey, how's it going, guys? You doing okay? Oh, and that's how we interact. And then the teacher will do it with the second half of the class. So if I have a class that has 30 students, I'll do on Monday, I'll say, okay, I'm going to do 15 students for 15 minutes and 15 students for the other 15 minutes. Or is it just check in with all of them for 10 to 15 minutes, the advisory just to check in, see how things are going. But the attendance component, and we'll have another webinar specifically with attendance, but since we are in distance learning, the attendance will be based on the work that's submitted and completed by the student. So we, as a LEA across the state, they've been funded based on last year's attendance in ADA. So what we're tasked with is we are tasked with ensuring that every child has a device, is engaged, and is participating. So if a student starts not engaging, not participating, then under the Ed Code, when that happens 3 times, they're considered chronically absent. But when a student doesn't participate or isn't submitting assignments, the teacher's going to reach out via call, via email. We're all going to know about that. We have an attendance intervention team, which consists of our 3 administrators, our school resource officer, and our attendance security personnel. And if we don't know where you're at, we're going to go knock on your door. We're going to be masked up and social distancing, but we're not going to, we're going to come find you. And if we don't find you, then, you know, we'll have to continue to report to law enforcement and use as many resources as we can to ensure that the child is participating and is engaging, because those are things that we have to document as a school. And the whole objective here is to make sure that our kids are receiving a quality. I apologize for my internet connection. That our kids are receiving a high quality education. So that's why we need to focus on making sure that we understand what's going on. I want to keep emphasizing it's not a race. It's not a race. It's not a race. And I also want to ask you, when you reach out to teachers, if you don't hear back from them within 24 hours, if you will, you know, let us know. Teachers they got a lot going on. It's not that they don't want to get back to you, but include us in the email, include the counselor in the email, give us a call. All of you have, I'm hoping most of you have my cell phone number. It's 760-540-1366. Okay. No, I don't take my own advice. I'm on 25/8/366. Okay. You can call me anytime. You can send me a text anytime. I'd rather be able to answer your question than not. Okay. So just for now, that's what we have. Are there any other questions?
I don't see any other questions on the chat, and I included there your cell phone number and the tutoring schedule for parents.
Okay. Can you also, okay, everybody's email is on there. I want to make sure that everybody's emails here is also updated on Synergy. Like I said, if there's any question, I'm going to do another one like this at 12 o'clock. You don't need to show up to that one. If we have 100 people, I won't be able to get you in, but if you show up again because you have another question, feel free to do it, or just shoot me an email or shoot me a text message, and we should be good with that. Good times, you know. Like I said, if you don't have a device available for your child, we'll start issuing those next week. All right. So, hey, listen, none of us here, none of us, from the parents, from the teachers, to none of us have ever lived through a global pandemic when school had to close down. You know, as parents, I mean, I ask you, when was the last time you remember school closing down if it wasn't for Christmas or summer, you know? These are unprecedented times. So let's use it as an opportunity to pave the way of how things are going. So we can't screw it up, folks. We can't screw it up. It's a great opportunity, and I really believe that. And I'm not blind to the obstacles, but let's use the obstacles as opportunities to get better. Let's turn those puppies against themselves, and let's make something positive happen with it. Okay. So if there are more questions, remember, we're just an email or a text message away. You're never bothering us, so don't think that you are. I will ask when we get going, if don't expect our teachers, I'm going to tell our teachers, if it's after 4 or 5 o'clock, you don't have to respond to any emails, but in the morning when we get back after it, you can. I want to make sure that we're all of us are taking care of ourselves, of our children, of our parents, and our mental well-being and our physical well-being. So let's slow play it as much as possible. Okay. Thank you so very much. Didn't keep you on very long, about 41 minutes. This has been recorded, so we'll be posting this on the website as well, so folks can see it. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and Tiger Pride.